connection to the Patterton camp is?
I lived quite near, walking distance. And my father was in the army, and when he would come home and leave, he used to take us up and he would speak to the prisoners.
So you were saying that your father used to take you to the camp. Can you tell me more about that, please?
My father used to come home and leave in the army, and he could speak a little. So he would go up and maybe take something up for the prisoners, maybe some sweeties or a wee drink of juice. And he used to take my sister and I with him. So we had maybe an afternoon with the prisoners.
And was this the Italian prisoners?
Italian prisoners.
So your father could speak a little Italian?
Slightly. Come stati and different words like that, you know.
Can you tell me what the demeanour of the prisoners was like? Did they seem happy or?
Very lonely, I felt. They would come, walk the streets. We'd go to the picture hall as well. We'd sit next to them in the pictures, and they would walk the streets. And I had an older sister, and my mother used to get quite annoyed when they would stand and look, maybe at my sister in the garden, and she used to come out and shout, "Away about your business!" Poor souls. But they walked in twos. They were always in twos. Quite sad as well. But there were no bother. No bother.
Okay, can you describe any recollections that you have of the camp itself, what it looked like?
Vaguely, quite poor, missing huts and spared ground and things like that. But always managed to get into the picture hall. You had to sit next to them as well.
And could they speak any English?
Yes, broken English were quite good. Quite good.
What kind of films did you watch at the pictures when the Italians were there?
It was the usual Rita Hayworth and Doris Day and that kind of thing. They must have understood the English, you know, it was American films you got then.
How often did you go to the pictures?
We went twice a week, it's all we could afford. There was a matinee on a Tuesday, and my sister used to get the money. She lived nearer the picture hall. Well, school was nearer the picture hall, and I was further away, so she got the money to pay for the pic, and I would meet her at the door.
During roughly which years do you have recollections of the camp?
Trying to think when the war started.
39.
Well, it'd be 1941.
Okay, and was it Italian prisoners that you remember? And was that in 1941?
No, maybe a couple of years later.
Okay, can you tell me anything you remember about the POWs?
I just remember seeing them in the picture hall, the Avon picture hall in Thorny Bank. They used to, and maybe they were sitting beside you.
Do you remember other people, the general attitude of people towards the POWs at the time?
Well, I worked in a factory in POW, and the girls, some of the girls used to go up to the camp and stand outside and talk through the wire, you know. I remember that.
So what factory was that?
That was D&H Cones and Pollokshaws.
And roughly what year was that, please?
It'd be maybe about 1941 too.
Do you remember seeing any?
Well, that's what I was going to say. I don't remember seeing any prisoners actually standing about, you know. It was really just in the picture hall that I actually seen the prisoners of war.
And how did you feel yourself about the prisoners?
Well, you were young, you know, you didn't really, I don't know what I really thought. I wouldn't have spoke to them then, you know. I mean, and seeing them in the picture halls, I didn't think that was fair, that they'd actually started it, and, you know, and they were enjoying themselves in the picture halls, and other soldiers, British soldiers, were still overseas fighting and getting killed, you know. You think of that, but then you're young.
My mother made a comment that, now I'm presuming it was after she married, because she made a comment, she asked if the prisoners, the Italian prisoners, would be allowed out to come and paper her house, because they were renting a farmhouse at Crossleys Farm at Rookin Glen, and she asked if they would be allowed out to come and paper. And this was when they would be marched down to the print works at Spears Bridge. And then another thing they used to do when they were walking down the road, I'm presuming, I think she said it was Italian prisoners, they would cut up their army blankets and sew them and be waving them, wanting you to buy them. So I would presume it would be the barter system. I don't know, maybe it was for money so they could buy things in a little shop. I'm not sure. But they would wave the slippers hoping that whoever would buy them off them.
As I said, when I moved here, you know, the people that were in Canward, you know, the women used to talk, you know, and you would hear them talking about getting marched down from the camp, right down into Thornybank. Now, whether they entered the main gate, I'm not sure about that, because the people in Canwardick Road and that, they used to hand toys to the kids, the prisoners. So I'd imagine there was a gate and somewhere along Canwardick Road. That's away at the other side. And I'd imagine they would enter because they were giving toys to the kids. So I don't think they went through the main gate. They went right down Thornybank and down Canwardick Road and entered in there. But I'm not sure about that. But I think that would be the only way they could hand the toys out to the kids. You know.
Do you know anything about the toys?
No, it was just wooden, you know, just wood toys, you know, carved. But it was a good relation. I mean, I never heard one person, no, women or men, saying anything bad about these prisoners. It was always, you know, there was a sort of an affection, you know, because of these handout to the children, you know. There just seemed to be, no, I don't think there was any sort of catcalling or animosity or anything like that. I never gathered that. I always got that impression, listening to the older people, that there was a sort of an affection, and no, they felt sorry for, you know. I suppose they didn't know, they were glad they were in a prisoner of war camp rather than fighting, but so
when they were getting marched down, do you know where they were going? Or?
They were going into the supplies, into them. I keep calling it SRD, that's all we knew it as SRD. And we were marched in there obviously to work, you know. Obviously it would be light work, you know, emptying the containers, I suppose, is, you know, they would have vehicles inside, because as I said, it was massive, you know, it was big. And tall buildings, you know, I think they used the tall buildings for, you know, from the cotton days, you know. But Canwardick Road, that was, I always remember Canwardick Road, it was all corrugated iron, right down the Canwardick Road, right to the end, not to the end of Canwardick Road, to the Poggy with the train, and it would go, you know, the corrugated iron would go up. So it was some size, you know, it was a massive place. You know.
Can you remember them doing any music or theatre out in the community at all?
No, just going to the walks and into the cafe. And
So which cafe was it that they used to go into?
Leo's. and the picture hall, they went into the pictures. I don't know whether they paid, but we had to pay certainly.
So, which picture hall was that?
The Avian. It's now a burger place,
Whereabouts is that?
Thornybank Road,
Any landmarks near it?
quite near the camp, yes, walking distance.
Oh, can you remember what they wore, what they looked, what their clothes
They
were
wore
like?
it was a uniform, rough looking, very rough looking cloth uniform.
Okay, and what colour was it, can you remember?
It was brown, dark brown. They had nothing in their head. They're quite good looking.
When you look back at the camp now, you look back to when you were a young girl and you used to visit the camp, how do you feel about the camp now?
How do I feel about the camp? Well, I felt sorry for the men at the camp. Very lonely and sad, very sad looking men, I remember. But they would like to been maybe come up and visit, but my mother would, no way, I'll be about your business.
Do you know if any of them married local women?
No, I don't know anything about that. Just the girl that lived, maybe I shouldn't say this, beside us, used to go out the window and go out with them. Our mother, she was older, you know, she was working, and she used to go out the window and go with one of them, or two of them.
Do you know any other girls that did that?
She a young girl?
No, do you know any other girls that did that?
No, only this one. Just the one. Of course, she lived beside us, you know.
We'll not ask her name.
I can still picture her. She was lovely. But the mother, she went out the window a wee bit of prisoners.
Or what you felt then?
Well, I remember them announcing the end of the war, and we all went out in the streets and went round. It was at night and all this, you know. We all marched round the streets, and I always remember a woman, and she had shown a shop, and she couldn't have known it, but it was the end of the war, and she lifted the window and was shouting because we were making a noise, you know. She couldn't have heard it was the end of the war and didn't know. And so that was that.
Any memories you may have of the Polish resettlement court at the camp?
Not at the camp, only the ones that were moved up here eventually. Quite a few Polish men lived up here. But not at the actual camp.
Right.
I wasn't aware.
So did they actually live in Scotland? Did they live in
We had
the
a
village?
few just living round this area,
Right.
along the road, across the back, down the road, round, you know, the Buccleuch. And I kind of knew the grandson. And I think we had a cobbler when the little cottages were on the Barhead Road. There was a cobbler there, he was Polish. And they just integrated, we accepted. And they worked up in, Janis and Adam, they worked up in Mearnskirk Hospital.
So they're able to find employment.
Seemed to be. I've got a kind of cousin, Jeanette, and she said she's got memories. She said he was an ex-German prisoner, and he seemed to have a piece of land adjoining Lambie's, and he was growing vegetables on it, and I think he lived in one of the Nissen huts. And she couldn't. She mentioned a name, but she couldn't quite remember. But it was an anglicised name. It wasn't a German name, but she said he was definitely a German. So that must have been after the war, late 40s, early 50s. I don't know what happened to him in the end. And she mentioned there was some old lady lived in one of the Nissen huts after the war, and Jeanette used to visit her.
Moving from Nitzel to Canwardrick at the age of 10, and with the local lads, we used to walk right up the Patterton Road, and we seen the Patterton Camp, but by that time it was in a position of sort of demolition. It had been vandalised, but it was there, you could see it, quite plainly. And we used that, walking up there, as a shortcut to go into the Gorbals waterworks, and that's my memory, walking up there with friends, young 10-year-old, 11-year-olds, to go up to the dams. So that's my memory of it, really,
Can you tell me what your memories of how it looked, other than the vandalism, about any of the buildings?
Aye, there was sort of white buildings. But the roofs were all off, as I said, there was big holes in walls. Now that was what, 10, that would be the 1950s, 1953, wherever that.
So was the place empty of people at that point?
Yeah.
Did you ever enter any of the buildings?
No.
Have you any other memories of how the buildings were located or situated?
No, they were just sort of plain white, and there was, I think a lot had been demolished actually, because there was very few standing, but everybody knew that was a Patterton war camp, everybody locally, that's where the prisoners of war were, and a lad that stayed along the road, Nitzel Road, his second name was Peachy. I just forget his second name. He's dead a long time ago. But he was a keen gardener like myself. And I was out in the garden working away, and he stopped me. We were talking away, and then ended up talking about the Patterton camp. And Mr. Peachy just come up. I just forget his first name, but he was a lot older than me. And he said that he was, what do you call it? He stayed in this camp. What do you call them? Squatter. That's what it was. Yeah. Jimmy was a squatter in the camp. Or Jimmy, I'm saying, it was Mr. Peachy. And he told me that it was a squatter, and he said, yeah. He says, after the war you couldn't get a house. He says, so the camp was there was roofs on it. He says, so there was quite a number of people moved in, and they squatted in that camp till they get a council house. And I didn't know that, and it was quite interesting. I always remember that conversation with him. They divided the compartments, and they squatted to get a council house that had sort of, I suppose, threw them out and gave them a council house. But yeah, he said he was a squatter.